Hello, Internet Nation. Alex and Ashley here with a fun informational video for you. Now today we're going to go into a fun topic, one that hits close to home. And today's subject is why you shouldn't get your tongue split, or what you should know before you get your tongue split. Now, I didn't find any of this information online, though I was told it by my body modder. He gave me a rundown of everything that I would potentially need to know that could possibly go wrong. But you don't really find videos of people's experience on the internet. I'm a little nasally right now. There's like a bubble of snot in the back of my nose, right where the nose connects to the throat, and it makes it hard to speak. Hope this doesn't get removed off of YouTube for that part. But okay. I mean, there's probably a number of things that would get this video removed off of YouTube. Hopefully that's not one. But number one, I'm probably going to do like top 5 things. And these things are prevalent, you know. I think about this stuff every day because I'm affected by it every day. Number 1, your tongue never stops healing. Never. Like, for one, my body modder told me to take 4 months. I believe he told me 4 months was the time period in which I was supposed to exercise my tongue every day to prevent regrowth. And I did that religiously 3 times a day for about 4 months, maybe a little bit over 4 months, every day in the morning before I went to work, in the afternoon while I was at work, and at night after I got home. I would massage my tongues, you know. I make sure you get the seams and all that good stuff. Stick them out as far as you can, stretch them out, do all that stuff. You gotta make sure that you're getting blood flow to your tongues so that they heal in the position that you want them to heal in. Preferably split. Otherwise, it's gonna heal all the way back to the tip. You don't want that. Otherwise, you just wasted $300 to $600, $300 to $900 on a procedure that the healing was excruciatingly painful. You had a terrible time that entire week waiting for them stitches to come out, and now you gotta do it all over again. Or you did it all for naught. Now, my tongue, I've had this for a year, 2 years, I'm not sure. I know it's definitely been a year, but I don't think it's been 2 years. May 13th is when I got this done. I don't remember the year. Probably last year. Fumi was here when I got this done, and when Fumi was here, Fumi was in this room, and pretty sure I moved in this room 2 years ago, so it's been about 2 years that I've had my tongue split, more or less, and it still feels like it's healing. Some days I feel like I wake up and it's healed a little bit more. But the thing that really got me is I did exercise my tongue. I didn't do a lot of talking because I work with dogs and animals, and most days I only really talk to doormen, which isn't really a lot of talking, especially since most of these doormen kind of know me already. But you want to make sure you do a lot of talking. You want to make sure that you use your tongue a lot once you get the stitches out, once you can talk, once you learn how to use your tongue again. You want to make sure that you're using your tongue a lot, even if it's just to say tongue twisters. Because that's what I would do. I spend a lot of time talking to myself and to dogs, but it's not like the average amount of time a regular person would spend talking. So you want to make sure that you talk a lot until you feel comfortable. Otherwise, like, that's another form of exercise that I don't think people really consider. But you want to get your tongue used to moving, and you want to actually make sure that your tongue is moving. Otherwise, it's just going to sit there all dead in your mouth. And if you're not doing the every day continuously and you're not talking, then it's going to heal again. I feel like my tongue has healed since that point. Mind you, I did that every day, 3 times a day for 4 months. And at the end of that, I woke up and it looked like my tongue had healed about 50%. I don't know why it happened. I don't know how it happened so fast in the span of one night. I don't know what made my tongue decide it wanted to heal 50%, but it did. And this is where we are now. Yeah. It was up there and then it healed to down there. That just happened overnight. So your tongue continuously heals. You want to make sure that you're on top of that. Otherwise, you're going to get some healage. Also, after that, my tongue has healed maybe 1 or 2 millimeters since then. And that was gradually over the years. Again, I don't do a lot of talking. The most talking I ever do is when I record a YouTube video. Other than that, not really. Number 2 that you want to keep in mind, aka why you might not want to get your tongue split. Number 2, nerve damage. Now, people never talk about nerve damage. I don't know if people who experience nerve damage want to admit that they have nerve damage. I was about to say nerd damage. But people don't want to acknowledge that they have nerve damage, and they don't want to acknowledge it because it is, you just fucked up. You just hurt yourself. You just hurt yourself. You fucked up a little bit. It's okay. As long as you don't regret what you did. That thing being getting your tongue split. I have a little nerve damage, you know? Can't really be helped. Maybe it's nerve damage. Maybe parts of my tongue are still numb. Maybe it's still kind of healing. Maybe I need to talk more. Maybe my tongue needs to be worked out more. I don't know. All I do know is there is a numbness in between my tongues. And usually I can't feel in that area for like the first few months, first year. Couldn't feel anything. If it slid between if I'm like biting my nails and the nail goes between my tongue, it's gone. It's lost. You see, there have been days where I was like chewing something or eating something and then it just straight up disappeared because it went between my tongues and I was just sitting under my tongue and that whole area was a dead spot, so I couldn't feel it, and then it just floats out. And I'm like, oh, hey, where'd this come from? Probably from under my tongue. Cthulhu, do you mind? Yes, you. You're the one making noise. I love you. He was looking at me like, what? Can I help you? I'm having fun. I'm going backwards in the tube. Sneezing in the tube like it's not covered in lint. I really need to wash that. But yes, nerve damage. It can be pretty severe. It could be pretty not severe. You could potentially lose. I just realized how like dry the skin on my lips is. Didn't notice that before I started filming, otherwise I would have got rid of that dead skin. But you can completely lose the feeling in your tongue. I don't know if you could fuck it up to the point where you can't use your tongue anymore. But yeah, that's something that I've never seen anybody talk about in any of these videos. But my modder did have a conversation about this with me. And I don't know if the numbness was present from the start or if it was just like something that showed up one day. I can't tell you. It was probably present from the start because I've grown accustomed to the numbness. And it's like the more I talk, the more tingly and numb the cut in my tongue feels. Which, that's probably nerve damage. That's something to look out for. And mind you, I went to one of the best modders that you can go to for tongue splitting and ear pointing. He hasn't pointed my ears yet. They used to be pointy when I was a kid, which I wish they would have stayed that pointy. But I'm gonna see if I can get my ears pointed through magic, because the way the holes in them have healed, that would be a problem for how they do ear pointing. I mean, you could just like cut the whole thing off. I don't really, and just like slap on some silicone or something, because I don't want pointy elf ears. I want the long pointy elf ears, you know, the big fat ones that stick out from the side of your head, like the ones I'm always wearing. I want those, not just like. So they haven't made that procedure yet, but when they do, I'm gonna be 31st online. Not first, because I don't want to be one of the first test subjects, you know? So that's number 2, nerve damage. You could lose feeling in your tongue. Obviously, I can talk fine. I taste foods more or less just fine. I'm pretty sure it takes it takes a while for the taste buds in your tongue to develop again. It might take some time for the ones in the middle to develop, because you never had taste buds in the middle. So your tongue is going to be like, oh, should I spawn taste buds there? That might take some time. But nerve damage is another thing you want to be wary of. I promise you, your life might not ever be the same. You might lose your ability to speak, just like me. But thankfully for you, I never had it. So yeah. I'm a little distracted rolling a thing right now, which you're probably going to see later on in the video. I hope you guys aren't, like, distracted by the skin on my lip. Can you not do that, please? Can you not do that while I'm recording? Huh? Not while I'm recording, you fuzzy thief. You stinky thief. Number 3, are we on 3? Number 3. Permanent lisp. How do you feel about having a lisp? Terrible? Oh, well, don't get your tongue split. Now, you're not guaranteed to get a lisp. Some people's mouths just can't handle this situation. Your tongue might heal to a point where it gives you a lisp. That 1 to 2 centimeters that my tongue has healed over these past 2 years has given me a lisp. When I got the procedure, I didn't have a lisp. Before the procedure, yes, I did have a lisp, because I had my tongue pierced and the pole was so long. Or if the pole was long, like I used to keep little barbells that you put in your belly button in my tongue, because since it's such a soft, squishy material, it can handle something like that and be comfortable. And it was comfortable. So I had that in there, because a tongue ring that's long and straight, which is usually too long for my tiny little mouth, gave me a huge lisp. And if you don't want a lisp, probably consider the size of your mouth. I don't think people consider that. People definitely don't, because I tell people all the time I have a small mouth, so I can't fit things in my mouth like giant wangers. I mean, this isn't a giant wanger, this is a tiny wanger. This video is definitely being demonetized, if not taken completely off the entire platform. But can't fit giant wangers in my mouth. People always want to tell me that I'm just not trying hard enough, but you know, I can't unlatch my jaw. I can't make them fit. You know, I got these big old gangly teeth, these big old janky teeth. And you know, there's not much room in my mouth. That's why I take small bites. That's why I take small bites of all my food, because I can't fit food. I can't fit a lot in my mouth. So I had to have a small barbell. Consider that if you're the type of person that has a really bad lisp because of your tongue jewelry, then you want to get your tongue split. For one, they're going to tell you to take that out. Well, my modder told me to take mine out, like, when I did the consultation, which is like a few months in advance. But consider that if your tongue piercing gives you a lisp, That's not a guarantee that your tongue split will give you a lisp. Go live your life. But your tongue could potentially heal to a point where you have a lisp. That is what happened with me. I feel like if I were to go and get my split redid, which I eventually plan on doing because I want one of those serious splits. I don't know how I'm going to maintain that, but I'm going to find a way. I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to tell you guys how to do it, because $300 to $900 is a lot of money to be spending on a body mod that could potentially heal itself, because the tongue heals so fucking fast. It just wants to slap itself back together. And because it wants to slap itself back together, I now have a lisp. I'm sure you hear it. And it sounds like there's a lot going on in my mouth, and you know what there is, because my tongues are trying to heal themselves. They are. Isn't much I can do about it. I still like massage my tongues with my with my lips. I go. Because I find that easier to do than using my hands. Because, you know, my lips are already soft and wet. So when I'm slapping something soft and wet against them, they're not just going to whoop, 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 all over the place, you know? Much easier. And then I don't have to stick my dirty little hands, because my hands are always dirty. Like, I would show you my desk, but I don't want to, like, turn my camera. It's covered in, like, bowls of food, Nendoroids, and tissue. And this is on, like, a clean day. Usually there's, like, paint everywhere. This bump on my arm. I don't know if you can see it. I have a bump on my arm, and it's really itchy. I got bit by mosquitoes waiting for the post person yesterday. But yeah, if you don't want to lisp, maybe consider that. You're either gonna have to be completely on your game when it comes to healing, to make sure that your tongue doesn't heal past a threshold that's gonna make it difficult for you to talk. Or not difficult for you to talk, difficult for you to talk normally and unimpeded. That's something to consider. Reason number 4 why you shouldn't get your tongue split, or what you should know before you get your tongue split. And honestly, I knew I was going to have 5 reasons, but I did not have all 5 reasons before I started this video. But reason number 4, I had to think about it real quick, but reason number 4 why you shouldn't get your tongue split is because it will break you. It'll break you. I've never interacted with a person who has their tongue split who has not okay, so I don't know anybody with their tongue split. That's a little bitch. I don't know anybody with their tongue split. Cthulhu! Silence! I don't know anybody with a tongue split that I can't even say can't handle pain, because that's not even a thing. That week in which you have your stitches in will probably destroy you. On top of not really being able to eat, and mind you, this does not apply to everybody. I've seen people who have stated that they got their tongue split. Girl, you better look at this. Look at this. Girl, get your paw out of the hole. Get out of there while I'm recording. Goddamn trash panda. So I've met people who, what was I saying? I've met people who could eat while they were healing, who could talk fine while they were healing, who can everything fine while they were healing. Me, I spent the week eating cream soda flavored ices because that was the only flavor the store had. I was in bed most of the week. I spent most of the week drooling into a towel, like towel on my pillow, just drooling into it, just freely drooling, because you're going to do a lot of drooling, whole lot of drooling. I don't really care about drooling. I was on the train home from New Jersey, just drooling into I got a drool-proof bib that is specifically made for people with disabilities that tend to drool a lot. So I got one of those because they're specifically made for people who drool a lot. So I'm like, oh, cool. So I could just drool into this for a long period of time and not have to worry about it, which is exactly what I did. Literally, like, formed a little cup and just drooled blood into it in the bib, sitting there smiling at people on the train while I'm bleeding from the mouth. It was a fun time. It was a fun time, but I'm also a sadomasochist, so these kinds of things I'm a little numb to. Look how washed out you are. Look at it, you're so overexposed. So overexposed because you're white. I just love you so much, you're so cute. So cute. So yeah, I got it done Monday? Sunday? It was either Sunday or Monday. And had to take a bus back to the train, back home. A bus back to New York, and then a train from 42nd Street, Port Authority, which isn't terrible because I could take the A train home from there. God damn it, back into the tube. So yeah. The week that you are healing could potentially be the worst week of your life. You will definitely be in pain because your tongue is it's gonna hurt for at least the first few days. It's gonna hurt like a bitch for at least the first few days. And then when it stops hurting, it's gonna be uncomfortable. So either your tongue hurts because you just split it in half with a scalpel and like the stuff they put in there to numb it started to wear off as I was dancing to the bus. They told me not to like do anything too extra that would exert energy, but I was smiling and I couldn't stop being happy, and I started dancing, and then the pain kicked in. But you know what, I don't give a fuck because I was too happy to give a fuck. So by the time I walked like the 4 blocks to the bus stop, I was in a lot of pain, and by the time I got on the train, I was in a lot of pain, and by the time I got home, I was ready to die. That's just how it is. And that lasted for the first few days. It was pretty bothersome. I took like a week off. Well, I didn't take a week off of work. That would be so responsible of me. But I took like the first half of the week off of work and laid in bed the entire time. Drooling, bleeding, in pain, couldn't eat anything. By Wednesday, I was aggravated, ready to punch babies, and just so mad and upset because I hadn't eaten all week. And then I had some onion and gizzard broth that my friend was making, and since she never ate, she was making a soup, and she ate all the gizzard before it was done cooking. So I'm just like, yo, give me that broth. I hate onions, but give me that broth. I'll take anything, and I can swallow. I had brought meal supplement, which is a powder you put into a liquid to make into a meal, but because that, like, it wouldn't not get sandy, like, I don't know what the deal was, but it was never like just a liquid. It was like a liquid with a bunch of chalk in it, and that made it extraordinarily difficult to consume because it coated my whole mouth in the substance, and it was thick, so it's hard to swallow. So that's another thing. You want to make sure that if you're gonna do it, you have food prepared for the week. Now, the soup worked for me. The gizzard soup, that worked fine. After I had some of that, I felt great. I wasn't pissed off at the world anymore, and I was ready to go back to work the next day. I had energy again. But before that, I was just angry and pissed off, and I wanted to punch babies, and I wanted the week to be over. And that was by Wednesday. That was like after 3-4 days of not eating. So keep that in mind. The week that you're going to be healing is potentially, I don't want to say it's going to be. I don't want to say it's going to be, because I have read people's experiences where they just went on, carried life as usual, talked regular, ate regular, lived regular. That wasn't me. And mind you, I have a high pain tolerance. I have a high pain tolerance, but I'm the type of person that if I need to heal, I'm going to lay here and I'm probably going to sleep the whole time because that's how I heal the bestest. So that's what I'm going to do. So that's what I did. I healed all week, half of the week. And then, it was terrible. On top of the drooling on everything, on top of like constantly drooling into a blanket, drooling into a bottle, drooling into something. I wasn't able to swallow because it hurt too much, and the motion your tongue has to make becomes manual. Becomes manual. After your stitches come out, you don't know how to use your tongue. I bought a chicken sandwich from Smashburger. That was the first thing I ate after I got those stitches out because I was just so hungry and I just wanted something so bad. It was a terrible time because my tongue was nice and tender. Another thing you want to keep in mind when it comes to like aftercare, you're gonna need somebody. Sorry, I glitched. You're gonna need somebody to take your stitches out. Okay? That is important because you're going to be very uncomfortable until those stitches come out. But you're going to need somebody to take those stitches out for you when it's time to take them stitches out. I had my roommate, who is a surgeon, would not trust anybody in the world, but also people you're going to have to go to a doctor to get this done. And they going to judge the fuck out of you because doctors do not agree with this procedure. No, they do not. They do not approve of it, so they are going to shame you like a motherfucker. They are going to talk down to you. They're going to call you stupid. Maybe not directly, maybe they won't be so malicious to your face, but even when I went to the doctor months later, and I was talking to somebody, the nurses were talking because I had my tongue split. Thankfully, they weren't like, oh, that's so stupid, blah, blah, blah. One nurse was like, oh, this person has their tongue split. I think they have their tongue split. And this other nurse was like, hey, I heard you have your tongue split. Can I see? So thankfully, they weren't like uncool about it. They were kind of interested. But when you go to a doctor to get your stitches out, they might give you a hard time emotionally and mentally because of this decision that you have made. Now, I couldn't imagine going in sounding like this and be like, hey, I need my stitches out, because they would probably make fun of me like, oh, look, you ruined your tongue and now you have a lisp, blah, blah, blah. Be prepared for that as well. That is a part of aftercare being hell. I keep that in mind when you go. Make sure you have somebody in mind to take your stitches out when the week is up and it's time for those stitches to come out, because that can be another mentally draining part of the procedure when you have to go and get those out. It's not like painful, but thank God my roommate was a surgeon, because there was nobody else I would have trusted, and I didn't realize that until the moment. I didn't realize that she was the person that I would have preferred to take my stitches out because I felt safe in her hands, and she was intrigued by the entire procedure because she's a surgeon who loves, she's in the medical field for the right reasons, like she loves doing her job. She's in it because she loves helping people. So the entire time, I told her that I was gonna, what my plans were, when I was gonna do it, and she was intrigued the entire time. She wanted to, she was there for the whole journey. So you want to make sure that you have somebody. And reason number 5 why you shouldn't get your tongue split, and or what you should keep in mind before you do it. Reason number 5, it hurts, bro. It hurts. People will judge you. Those are 2 different reasons, but now I guess number 5 is honorable mentions. It hurts. People will judge you. People spend way too much time staring into your mouth. I remember my dad threatened to beat me with a cord, but I'm pretty sure he was joking because I'm an adult. But he handled it better than my mom did. My mom, for the first time ever, she doesn't want people to know that we're related, but for the first time ever, she commented on my Facebook status saying, "This is your mother. How could you do this to me? You're breaking my heart." She took it as a personal attack. So be wary of that. Be wary of hurting your parents, because this is an extreme body mod, okay? It is an extreme body mod. You can mess your body up when you do something like this if you do not go to a professional, if it is not done right, if you do not take care of it the way that you're supposed to, okay? Okay. Now that we have that in mind, I mean, it shouldn't matter what other people think about you, because this is your body. This is your body. People can't be mad at you for doing what you want to do with your body, especially since those are the same people that don't have that same energy for the motherfuckers that did shit to your body that you didn't consent to, that hurt you, that traumatized you, that fucked you up. They ain't got that same energy towards those people, so fuck their opinion in the first place, alright? Who gives a fuck if you decide to split your tongue because it makes you happy? And make sure if you're splitting your tongue, you're doing it because it makes you happy. Like, okay. Make sure that's why you're doing it. I don't give a fuck that I have to deal with the numbness every day. Yes, I hope it goes away, but I don't give a fuck, okay? That is my new norm, because this is what I wanted to do. This feels natural to me. This is how I want my tongue to be. So I don't give a fuck about the numbness. I'll live with that. Maybe if I keep exercising it, it'll go away. Maybe if I talked more, it'll go away. But either way you look at it, this is what I wanted. This makes me happy. So I don't care about the drawbacks, about the side effects. Make sure you are in that headspace, because who knows what is going to happen after you split your tongue. Who knows? Make sure you're getting it done by a professional. There are many ways of splitting your tongue. You could use, there's a scalpel method. Some people cauterize it, which you shouldn't be cauterizing your tongue. Some people do, they stretch it and then they some people stretch it and then they use a string and rip it apart. You want to make sure that whatever you're doing is safe. You want to make sure that you are in the right mindset. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of people getting wasted and then slicing their tongue themselves. And I'm like, how do you... But why? I don't understand. I get that it's fast and free, but damn, probably fucked everything up now. So you want to make sure. So keep these things in mind. Keep these things in mind before you go and you get your tongue split. It's going to affect your body. It's going to affect your speech. Maybe. Not guaranteed. Not guaranteed. That depends on your healing. That depends on the size of your mouth. That depends on how your tongue heals. Because I don't know if people know this, but your tongue might not be the same size on either side. That's also something you might have to deal with. Like, you might get your tongue split and the left side is smaller than the right side because that's just how it was. Your tongue isn't necessarily an even organ, so you might have one side that's longer than the other. Is that something you're willing to put up with? Are you like somebody obsessed with even things and you want to get your tongue split, but now you're bummed out forever because one tongue is like half an inch shorter than the other? Keep that in mind. Do you have a close family life? Is your whole family going to disown you for this thing that you choose to do to your body? Unlike how they didn't disown Cousin Ray Ray for what he chose to do to your body. Keep these things in mind, okay? So we're going to end this here because I spent 34 minutes rambling, and that's 34 minutes in which I did not finish rolling this blunt. So keep these things in mind. If you want to get your tongue split, fine, cool. Do your research. Do your homework. Make sure you're mentally prepared. Make sure you're physically prepared. Make sure you're financially prepared. Make sure you have your week set. So you make sure you have your things you can eat put to the side. Make sure you take time off of work. Make sure you have someone there for emotional support. All these things are important, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to what you're going to need during healing and the type of person you are. If you're somebody who can't risk having a lisp, I know you'll hear it. I know you hear it in my voice right now. this is as bad as my lisp has ever been. I mean, granted, it's not as bad as when I had my tongues pierced and I had that hole in it, and I had, like, sometimes I would put in a long barbell just to give myself a lisp. And it was a little worse than this. This happened, I've been dealing with this for maybe a month or so. I woke up and my tongue healed a little bit. If you're not prepared for randomness, like having a lisp one day, don't do it. It could change a lot of things, and you have to make sure that you're prepared for all of these things to happen. Anything could go wrong, so make sure you keep that stuff in mind before you mutilate your body, okay? Okay, now, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Maybe one day I'll make a video on my experience. This has mostly been my negative experience, but maybe one day, I mean, there isn't much of a positive experience. Ever since I got my tongue split, I haven't had anybody to make out with. That's another thing. That's another reason. You aren't gonna feel anything between your tongues. Like, maybe you'll get some sensation back, but you're not gonna feel anything. I haven't had a lot of people to make out with. I know, so many people that wanna, like, fuck, but nobody wants to make out. Like, I just wanna stick your tongue between my tongues. Like, I really get off on, like, people playing with my tongues, and nobody ever wants anything to do with the inside of my mouth unless it's like, hey, let me just stick a dick in there. And I'm just like, no. Gross. Everybody wants to know what your tongues feel like on their dick, but they never want to know what it feels like on their tongues. I want to know what it feels like in your tongue. Stick your finger in there. Come on. Anything that's not a fucking dick, you're dirty. But I digress. I don't even remember what I was rambling about. Keep all that stuff in mind. And until next time, YouTube Nation, know that you are loved. And if you have questions, I have answers. And if I totally just cut my intro and then completely forgot what it was. Until next time, know that you are loved, if by nobody, this guy. And if you have any questions, I've got answers about tongue splitting and what it's like having your tongue split and dealing with your family after your tongue split. I mean, I didn't really deal with my family. By the time I saw my mom, she was over it, and my dad just made that one comment. He was like, how could you get your... What did you do? What did you do to your body? Oh my God, let me see it. Yes, he did actually ask to see it. I make sure that my tongue never leaves my mouth when I'm around my mom, and there are times when I'm just like, I did just live life with my tongue sticking out of my mouth as I'm, like, thinking. That usually means I'm thinking about stuff, or I'm just, like, existing. One of the two. I'm either in deep thought, or I'm not thinking at all. I'm just existing in my childish energy. So when I'm with my mom, I try to make sure that it's always in my mouth and she can't fucking see it. But my dad was like, what did you do? Let me see it. So I showed it to him. I stuck my tongue at him. And he was like, I should hit you with a cord. And I'm like, I am an adult. I will run home and you will never see me again. So keep that in mind, YouTube Nation. Know that you are loved. If you have questions, I have answers. I just said all this stuff like 3 times. Yeah, tell me about your experience with getting your tongue split in the comments below. Do you feel numb every fucking day? Can you not taste in the middle of your tongue? Do you regret it? Oh, that's an important one. Do you regret it? I don't regret it. Not at all. I can't wait to get my tongue re-split so I can have a deeper split and then figure out how to keep that shit unsplit. Even if it means I have to stick a piece of cardboard in my mouth and, like, I don't know, just stick a piece of something in my mouth, wrap it around my tongue so they can't, like, slap together in the middle of the night. Even if I gotta do that, I'll do that. I don't give a fuck. I love it. I love the way it feels. I love the way it looks. It feels natural. It feels natural. And that's coming after one day I was like, oh, I wonder how it would be to move my tongue separately. And I tried to move my tongue separately, but it was just one tongue at the time. And it felt weird. I almost had a panic attack because I was like, oh no, my tongue shouldn't be like this. It's stuck together. And ever since then, I knew this was meant to be and could not go back. So make sure this is something you want before you do it, because you could fuck your whole shit up. And if you ain't happy with it, you just gonna be fucked up and miserable. Bye.